Hello everyone and welcome back to Whisky Wednesday. There was meant to be a different video out today that features 3 different whiskies, but it's just too long and it takes a hell of a long time to upload. So what I'm going to do is they will come, but they'll probably be filmed as 3 different videos. They will all be released on the same day. But for the meantime, I've got some other bottles that I've bought ages ago and still haven't reviewed for you all. As you have all seen by the thumbnail and indeed the title, today we have a personal favourite of mine. This is Benromach. This is the Contrast Kiln Dried Oak series. This was essentially like a brother and sister bottling along with an air dried oak series. This is a virgin oak cask matured 46% Benromach, non-chill filtered, natural colour. I believe it's natural colour. I can't actually see that anywhere, but it does say non-chill filtered on the side. I bought this in the Good Spirits Co. in November of last year. If any of you do ever find yourselves in Glasgow, there are loads of really good whisky shops in Glasgow, but I always find myself going to the Good Spirits Co. There's just always like something unusual in there. They've got pretty cool single cask releases. They sell cool rum. They've got cognac, a great tequila and mezcal range. But I saw this and I was torn between the air dried or the kiln dried. Couldn't really afford both at the time, so I went for the kiln dried, and this is the first dram of it. Stunning colour. It's almost sherry in its kind of oranginess. But with the Contrast series of Benromach, it's them allowing themselves to experiment with quite interesting things. We've had the organic releases, the peat smoke contrasts that are even smokier than standard Benromach. Not that regular Benromach is that smoky, but it's just a smoky release. And then we've got this range too. Oh, we also did the Contrasts Cara Gold series probably about this time last year actually, or maybe 2 years ago. That was a delicious bottle of whiskey. That was the first thing I think I ever bought from Benromach's website. But here we have this Benromach, love, virgin oak matured, love, kiln dried oak. I'm sure that offers some interesting counterpoint. I found my favourite coasters again. These haven't featured here for a while. But this used to be a really unusual sketch show on Channel 4 called Modern Toss, and I think all of their sketches have been turned into like little placemats and cards and things. Now that's quite funny. That is there. Another shot of this beautiful colour. It's been in the glass for about an hour while I've been writing some stuff up, so let's have a smell and a taste. Oh, if you gave it to me blind, I'd just tell you that was bourbon. Yeah, we are getting all of those classic oaky caramel vanilla things. I will say not tons of the smoke is coming through. You're almost getting like, there's even like some rye notes to it, little kind of rye bready green apple. Things that you associate with apple, and you get kind of pastry, cinnamon, nutmeg. There's a nice thick sort of honey note to it as well. This is my first whiskey of the day. In fact, this is my first whiskey for a couple of days, to be honest. Much to do, very busy. So the nose is coming across as a little bit forward in terms of the spice. It is only 46. And it is 10-year-old liquid. I don't think I mentioned that. We are getting this little kind of nasally fizziness of spice. It's coming across as like, weirdly enough, it does have this slight acetone note to it. The overall thing is still sweet and all-encompassing and nice, but there is a smell, that very gentle, very far back smell of almost acetone, nail varnish remover. Which you can get a lot with bourbon and a lot with virgin oak and bourbon cask mature grain whiskey. But overall, caramel, vanilla, apple, cinnamon, it's biscuity. It's quite grassy as well, actually. There's like a freshness to it. But let's taste it. This is a really soft, chewy style of whiskey. I know we always associate the word chewy with oily and thick and viscous. But the palate on this is so gentle. Like it just kind of rolls itself into position. The first thing you get are these nice barrel notes. And obviously this is full virgin oak maturation, which is a pretty unusual thing in Scotch whiskey. Really kind of soft woodiness. It does begin to amplify and build up a little bit, and then in between those very dry woody notes you're getting more of that green apple. There's almost like a strawberry note to it, which I'm finding really interesting. I don't think I've ever had a note of strawberry with any Benromach before. We'll talk about the palate a little bit more again when I try it again. I was quickly just Googling the price of this because I forgot what I paid for it. From Benromach's official website, you can pick this up for, drum roll please folks, if it's still in stock. Let's buy a bottle. This is taking too long. What's the average price on Google? About 50 quid. Some places actually have it on sale as well, which is quite good. So you can, I think I probably paid like 50, 51. But anyway, let's talk about the finish. This is where we're starting to get more of that Benromach smokiness. On the nose and on the palate, it isn't really there, which is understandable because it's not a particularly powerful peated whiskey compared to others. And virgin oak is such a powerful, dominant flavour profile that in Scotch whiskey, you can lose a lot of the nuances, especially if you have a very gently peated spirit. For batch production, which this is, but it's all the same type of cask, but typically for a large batch production product, Glenfiddich 12 for instance, there could be some virgin oak casks in there, but there'll be a very small percentage to dial up a particular flavour. The rest of it will be your standard American oak, refill oak, sherry oaks, that kind of thing. But the finish is where we start to pick up these smoky, slightly bitter notes. The sweetness is kind of pulled out of the finish quite a bit. And for some reason, with all Benromachs, I was trying a couple the other day, just retrying the 10, the 15, and a single two single casks I've got just sat over there. And from all of them, I'm getting this like Angostura aromatic bitters thing, that kind of gingery, gentian root, like cassia bark sort of thing. It's really unusual, but the finish of this is all about that. Nose is still sweet, it's getting more kind of baked pastry now. Same story again. When this thing rolls in, the start of it, you'd think it was 40%. It starts off very 40%-ish. It has these very, very soft, very palatable notes. And the ABV is almost indecipherable. You couldn't say it was virgin oak from the first sip at all. And it just has this way of doing something a little bit different. But then as you kind of move it around your mouth, it starts to build with the spice, the oak. The sweetness does amplify a little bit, but I'll say the most sweetness you're going to get is on the nose. Every other little bit of sweetness kind of dials down a little bit. And then the finish, you just met with these, again, gingery, Angostura type of bitter notes. I think it's really fun. I love a Benromach, you all know that anyway. And this is, for me, like a really solid purchase. I think the contrasts range as a whole is an absolutely brilliant way for any distillery to really showcase what it can do. And as I say this to everyone, if you have a favourite distillery, if you want them to do something, the chances are they've probably done it. 99% of the time, they've probably made something like that. But they may not release it because it doesn't fit their sort of portfolio, their house style. But I like that with this, you still get the classic Benromach thing at the end, but up front, it could be a totally different whiskey. So that's quite fun. I think overall, I'm going to give it an 8. It's a very tasty whiskey that's not overly complex, but it is something which is affordable. I'm assuming relatively still available on Google. It showed up quite a lot of places that still had it. And if you're a bourbon fan, if you are a Scotch fan, you know, let's meet in the middle and you can actually enjoy something with this contrast range. But thank you all very much for watching. That is the Benromach Contrast Kiln Dried Oak, and I'll see you all next week. Cheers.